The Magnificent Emma Cons by Rob Chantler. Emma is striding down the street. Impoverished children are playing in the gutters and one or two mothers are on their doorsteps talking. Suddenly a man is pushed out of a house, number 23, and lands in a heap on the street. His children come out and his angry wife follows. As he picks himself up, they begin shoving each other. Emma makes a beeline for them, and as she comes nearer, we hear the argument.
Always drink with you, always. There's more bleeding liquor in you than in all the pubs in London.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have to drink if you wasn't such a nagging old cow.
What do you think you're doing, brawling in the street while your children watch on? Where's your self-respect? Self-respect? We can't afford no self-respect, missus. Look at us. Look at our clothes. Look at our kids. Want to see the house, do you? Damp, mouldy, full of rats and cockroaches. 4 kids and me and him in one bed, broken windows, freezing cold. If you think the worst they get is watching us have a fight, you need to spend a few nights living with us, missus. That's what you ought to do.
And go and mind your own bleeding business. You don't dress like a lady. You a god-botherer or what?
I am Miss Emma Cons, and I am genuinely sorry to hear about your plight. And no, I'm not a god-botherer. Well, you got some balls, missus, sticking your nose in like that and getting involved in a fight. You ain't a lady, that's for sure. What's your name? Why, you going to report me? No, just asking. I'm Amelia, that's Jack, and the kids are Henry, Emily, Liz and Harry. Lovely names, and I'm sure quite charming children. Surely you do not want for them when they grow up the circumstances in which you currently find yourselves? Well, no, of course not. I have thought about using my work ethic to make things better, and now I know how. I will remember you, all of you, and I promise that one day soon, your lives and the lives of everyone you know will be better than this. Well, some decent lodgings would be a start. Might I come in and see for myself? Oh, I don't know, missus. I mean, we don't know you. You might be some right nutter. You ain't no lady, that's for sure. I walk through these neighbourhoods and have a good idea of what these places must be like, but inside?
Oh, let her in. Any grief from you, missus? My dog's a prize fighter. I'll set him on you for £50.
I'm sure that won't be necessary. You lot go up the road and knock Mabel up. Go on, come back for your dinner. Well, come in then, missus. How long has that window been broken? Too long. That was a rat. Yeah, well, we have a few now and again. Oi, Nosy, get your head out me cupboards. Sorry, I see they're pretty bare. Well, Jack spends what he earns in a pub and I can't work, can I? I would if I could, but who'd look after the kids, eh? Can't leave them wandering round the streets here. The child catcher will have them. And they'll be in the workhouse before you can shake a stick. Mr. Dickens is right in what he writes. Well, I appreciate the visit and I have very little on me, but... Blimey, what do you carry that for? Ball of string and a penknife? Yeah. You never know when it might come in handy. Here, I haven't much, but... We ain't no charity case, missus. Take it and buy some food. If only there were places mothers could leave their children safely. If only temperance and sobriety replaced alcoholism, maybe one day...
Right, off with you, missus. Come on.
If I am ever in a position to help you and you're still here when I return, I promise you and your family will be top of my list.
It is 1864, and in a private members' club in London, Octavia Hill is having a fundraising conversation with various wealthy gentlemen, including John Ruskin. I must say, by saying that admitting a woman to our gentlemen's club is most incompatible.
Regarding women in general, I would agree. However, I have taken upon myself to personally vouch for Miss Hill and her sound business sense. We have here the potential for a very lucrative return on our investment.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen. Quite simply, there is a desperate need to house the poor of London in decent lodgings. The squalor is a major public health hazard for everyone in London, not just those who generate the condition for such ill health to spread.
Well, the poor are not our problem. Let the workhouses deal with them. Let Mr. Dickens write about their plight. The only thing that I want to hear from you is what we would gain financially from whatever scheme John has dragged us into.
I'm not unsympathetic to your cause, Octavia, but the fact that we've met before and my fondness for your mother does not mean I can just hand over large amounts of money for your dream of social enterprise.
I am not so naive that I would expect you to reach into your pockets purely out of charity.
I've come into a small fortune following the death of my father.
So sorry to hear of your loss.
That's very kind. He left me £750, which I could use to purchase 3 adjacent cottages, each with 6 rooms, in Paradise Place, Marylebone.
That would be a most wonderful start.
James and Tarquin are both very solvent and potentially willing to invest, as I have fronted the money to buy the first properties, but they want a guarantee of return on their investment.
How much?
5% annually, each of us.
That seems a fair amount. I presume you will want something in writing?
Absolutely, and I would add that even with a 5% ROI, it is only our friendship with and belief in John's ability to know a winner when he comes across one that we are investing at all. Once the formal arrangement's been made, I will personally purchase for your cause the freehold of 5 further houses nearby in Freshwater Place, Marylebone.
Oh, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough, and I promise you we will carry out the remedial works as cheaply as possible and set rents for tenants both affordable and sufficient to guarantee you 3 and any other investors each 5% return on your investments each year.
Miss Hill's word is her bond. As far as I'm concerned, gentlemen, I think we have a deal.
Some years later, in 1910, Emma is being interviewed about her life and work by a young journalist. They are taking tea as they chat.
And did you go back for them, like you said?
When I set up the South London Dwellings Company many years later, I went back to that family and made sure that they were offered one of the tenements. They couldn't believe their luck. They'd forgotten all about me until I reminded them. I expect they had more to occupy their thoughts with.
What a heartwarming story. You really are an inspiration, Emma. But I know my readers will want to know one thing.
And what would that be?
Few women achieve anything with the patriarchy we have. How much of what you achieved did you achieve without the help of men?
Well, most, I would say. I have a strong dislike of the male sex. They sabotaged my work when I was engraving stained glass, and that was only the beginning. I set myself up as a watchmaker and engraver. I worked away diligently, making sure every watch was unique and beautiful. But unfortunately for me, I had competition, and they didn't like my taking their customers, and they were men. And one night, their men beat up my delivery man to within an inch of his life. I sold the business and closed that artistic chapter in my life. Oh, I thought about revenge, I did. But sometimes you just have to accept you're beaten, irrespective of the circumstances.
Well, I can see why a dislike of men would be your default position.
However, I have needed men and their money and their influence and had to persuade them to my cause, but they nearly always seem keen to support me, albeit with a little persuasion. You see, Nancy, they have their uses, and if you know how they think and how they operate, and I do, you can play them like violins, and for the most part I did.
So were you born into money? Because I understand now you're fairly wealthy.
Oh no, Nancy, I was poor. My family were working class. My father made piano keys, and my mother didn't work at all. When our circumstances became particularly difficult, I had to leave school. I trained as an artist under Lady Caroline Hill. When I was in my 20s,
I restored manuscripts for none other than John Ruskin. On my artistic merit alone, I worked my way into the middle classes and made some influential contacts along the way. It's strange how childhood friends and former bosses were somewhat of a recurring theme in my life. Not least Octavia Hill, who paved the way for me to make good my promise on that poor family. You know, even though our relationship is past now, I still consider it one of my most treasured. I mean, I had an interview of sorts, but I knew her and her mother, so it was more of a formality, really. That was way back in 1864.
Oh, my dear Emma, how lovely to see you again. My mother has told me that you would be the perfect person to join Ava McLaren and myself collecting rent.
Indeed.
I am sure we will find we have far more in common than not. Would you like some tea? I assumed you would.
I would, most kind of you.
It doesn't seem so long ago that we were making toys together for the ragged school children, does it?
No, that was a happy time from my teenage years. And after that, of course, we lost touch.
Always a regret.
Indeed.
My mother told me that you had some bad experiences with men.
Yes. Fortunately, however, I am still able to work professionally with them if needs be.
Most of my friends are women. I had a close relationship with one girl, but my mother thought our relationship unsuitable.
I'm sorry to hear that. By unsuitable, I assume you mean...
Closer than might be considered, how can I put this, socially acceptable within the circles in which we mixed.
Surely it is expected that respectable women form romantic friendships with other women?
To a degree, Emma. I feel I can speak about this with you, as we were friends around that time. I hope I can rely on your discretion?
Completely.
We had lost touch with each other even then. The girl I came to love was a doctor called Sophia. My mother told her in no uncertain terms that the relationship was not appropriate. Good women have no sex drive, she said. Suffice to say, Sophia got the message.
Well, in the spirit of openness, I should say that I am also single, and I have not encountered anyone of either sex I would consider more than a friend or acquaintance. As for men, other than to be milked like cows for their fortunes, or otherwise manipulated into the furtherance of my causes, I have little use for them, and see little purpose in relationships beyond those essential for business.
So, you would not rule out a relationship with a woman, and by relationship, I mean exactly that.
The decision as to whether to have a relationship with someone in the way you describe it would not be made according to the person's sex.
You remember Mr. Ruskin?
I do.
It was he who helped me set up my first social housing scheme in Marylebone. A dear man. He sees me as a wise counsel, I think, often turning to me for advice.
Rarely have I met a kindlier man. Were he dead, I would want him stuffed.
He has at least 2 wealthy investors on board, and now we have 2 schemes in Marylebone, bringing in more than 5% profit for each investor, and, I believe, making a genuine difference.
Wonderful.
You, Ava, and I collect social rents from the tenants within my sheltered housing schemes. Getting to know the tenants and collecting what they owe I consider most important, and I make myself available to hear of any concerns so I can address them speedily. You cannot deal with people in their houses separately. Getting to know them will be an easy task, as accommodation in the same housing scheme goes with your role. You will have a lodging as pleasant as your tenants.
Rent collectors and social workers, by the sound of it.
Yes, I suppose. We visit them and make sure everything is to their liking, and make sure they are looking after their properties to the best of their abilities. I charge them modest rent for the levels of comfort they enjoy, but I am rather busy expanding the scheme as well as campaigning for Hampstead Heath to remain undeveloped for the general health of the population of London, and raising funds to that end. Heaton College have got their eye on it, you know, and we can't have it developed. That would be unthinkable. I have coined the term green belt to describe the open spaces needed to prevent urban sprawl, and Hampstead Heath is not the only open space I am fighting for, I assure you.
Well, you and I both have such a passion for making things better. I happily accept your position.
Oh, I am delighted to hear it. I would just say that some of the tenants are tardy in their rent payments and, sadly, on occasion, I have had to evict one or two who repeatedly defaulted and have neither contrition nor made any effort to improve their situation.
Should you not persevere more with those least able to pay?
Within reason. Be careful, Emma. One can easily be swayed to put their rent on a slate, and then again and again. I realise money is not something they have much of, but without it, I cannot grow the scheme and help others out of squalor, so sometimes, out of necessity, I have to evict.
Of course.
You may start immediately. I will take you to see the development personally and help you settle in.
Thank you.
I feel sure you will soon be on good terms with your new tenants. I took the liberty of writing to them to explain that someone else would be their rent collector, but of course at that time did not know that it would be you. Oh, let me hand you the details and your key.
These seem the most modest rents and the most enlightened terms.
Oh, I am happy you approve.
And the key is?
For your lodgings, yes.
Sounds like you were made for each other.
I would describe the rekindling of our teenage friendship as an emotionally close one. A strong friendship between influential women is always desirable.
I hope you don't mind, but the journalist in me has to ask, was it more than a close friendship? I won't write anything about it, obviously.
Perhaps. She never expressed her sexual orientation directly, just merely alluded to it. I, likewise, did not. And if she had, I would, of course, have remained discreet. We had a close relationship, let us say that, both as business partners and friends.
And did you rise up in the ranks once you got your toe in the water?
Most certainly. She considered me to be business savvy and very good at identifying improvements that were needed and costing them appropriately.
I bet you had some good ideas as well.
I did, and she was keen on some and more lukewarm on others.
It is 1869, and Emma and Octavia talk in Octavia's garden.
I have taken under my wing a dear, sweet girl whose father recently passed and who is keen to help me with my social work. Her name is Henrietta Barnett. Only 19, but a most delightful person. She is due shortly.
Is she to be one of your paid employees like me?
Oh, no. No interview other than that which I have already carried out will be necessary.
I see. Well, if the right person comes along, I suppose it would be foolish to miss out on the opportunity.
I have to confess, working alongside you, that I have developed a fondness for you. I hope you don't think it indelicate of me to mention this.
No, I would rather be frank and open with each other. This makes for a better business relation as well.
Do you feel you could come to view me with an equal fondness with time, or perhaps you do presently?
I consider our relationship to be one of the strongest I have ever enjoyed with another woman. And yes, I consider you a friend as well as my employer. But whatever feelings we may or may not have for each other, I think they would be best kept between ourselves.
Of course. My mother's words from Sophia are still ringing in my ears.
You've been very kind to me and very accommodating of my request regarding improvements of both the lodgings and the leniency to some of the tenants.
And business is doing so well, I am about to open another project, which is to be called the Central London Dwellings Company, based in Drury Lane. I would like to ask you if you would like to be put in charge of the project. I can find someone to replace you at Marylebone, less able as a manager, so you could be able to accept your new position.
Well,
It is more modern than Marylebone, and your lodgings would be considerably better. Please consider it.
Of course, thank you. I would just like to ask you one favour. I met a family in a particularly squalid area near to Lambeth who have been reduced to brawling in the street and drinking. I promised them that I would help them find somewhere more suitable, and I would like to keep my word. Please, can you allow me to select them as a tenant family? It would mean so much to me.
Of course. However, the same rules will apply to them as everyone else. They must respect their new home, be good neighbours, and pay their rent on time, every time.
I will ensure they know what will be expected and that they can afford it.
Good. Let's go inside. I'm so excited for you to meet Henrietta.
What do you think of dear Octavia, then?
A most enlightened person.
Absolutely.
And have you found any faults?
She does not dress, but merely wears clothes.
The same has been said of me. I have been told I stroll around like a man measuring a plot in yard steps and have no fashion sense whatsoever. And, by the way, I always carry a ball of string and a penknife wherever I go. You never know when you might need it.
You still do that?
I do. It's a childhood habit I never lost.
As well for you that I can take jibes with good humour, Henrietta. In any case, one does not need to get dolled up to wander around tarted-up slums collecting rent from families wearing little more than rags. Indeed, to do so would be most insensitive, would it not?
Do not do yourself down, Octavia. The dwellings were very much more. They were slums, but you would never know such is the work that you mainly, and I, in part, have done to them.
Some, Henrietta, were completely demolished and rebuilt thanks to the generosity of various rich gentlemen. Emma and I have been in our overalls whitewashing and painting the insides. We think it's important to get our hands dirty.
It is. And I'm sure you'll fit into our happy band very nicely, Henrietta.
From time to time, I get very tired because of all the various projects and causes I have on the go, and while I rest, Emma will be the person you will be responsible to. I assume, Emma, you would be happy with that?
Whatever I can do to help.
Emma takes stock of the new development. Some of the tenants who've recently moved in are looking out of the windows as if expecting her arrival. She smiles and waves at some and then proceeds to her lodgings on the ground floor. She puts down her case by the front door and wanders around her modest but pleasant lodgings. She seems happy and excited at the prospect of her new role as she makes herself some tea on the small stove. The next day she sets off back to Marsh Street.
Yeah? Amelia? Emma Collins, I intervened in a fight you were having with your husband many years ago. And I said I would get you out of your situation. And I know it's been a good few years, but I can now make good on my word. Oh, yeah, I remember. Oi, you lot! Get out of here! I'm sure you had 4 children? We lost our Henry. Pneumonia he got. Died in bed between me and Jack. I am so sorry, I really am. Thanks, Mrs.
What do you want?
I have found you nice lodgings in Marylebone, northwest London. You would have to pay a low rent, and it's a nice house in a nice part of London. I know it's too late for poor Henry, but I have asked the owner for whom I work only yesterday to allow me to bring you in. Well, right, let's not talk on the step. You better come in and tell us about it. Thank you. I will arrange a horse and cart to help you take your belongings. A week later, they had moved in. They loved their new home. Everything seemed perfect, and I was soon chatting with the other tenants too, and they paid their rents willingly. Of course, I could still see room for improvement, and perhaps I was more forward-thinking even than Octavia. But sadly, a short while later, We had one disagreement too far.
What about? Differences in your visions?
No, more basic than that. Whilst these lodgings are quite lovely, there is still a problem with the amount of alcohol consumption and its negative effect on the tenants. I have broken up several fights and sent the miscreants back inside with their tails between their legs.
I would think twice about getting involved.
As I see it, there are two things they need that no number of lodgings can give them.
And they would be...
The opportunity for sobriety and exposure to culture.
My mother loved opera. I was exposed to the arts from an early age and what I suppose could be called culture. For women like us, dear Emma, culture is essential. But while I care deeply for my tenants, given their stations in life, I feel culture is the last thing on their minds.
No, quite the contrary. I have to admit I've only talked occasionally to the tenants about such things, but they always seem interested.
The commitment you have to me and my tenants is astonishing, given how busy I know you are with other causes. And I take it you are busy supporting women's suffrage, along with the other causes you champion alongside your work with me.
Absolutely. Women must be seen as equals to men in every respect, given every opportunity to showcase their talents, become academics and doctors and politicians, just like the men.
I have plans, you know, to further grow, bringing in more people, as I did you.
Splendid. I trust you will involve me in their selection and interview?
No need to trouble you with that side of things. You have so much to do already.
But I am a partner.
No, Emma. You are an employee, a manager, I suppose. I see you very much as a friend and more. But when we are working, we must adhere to boundaries.
I have always found you to be a moral, decent person with a good heart, and perhaps more than just a friend. But many ideas that have come from me have resulted in the success of the projects, and if I am not to be involved as an equal in such matters as bringing in new employees, then I will have to reconsider my position.
Well, you must do what you must, but I will certainly not be encouraging you to leave.
I am fond of you, but I also have a strong desire to continuously work towards my ambition to truly transform the lives and fortunes of London's poor, perhaps on a grander scale than is possible while I work for you.
I'm fond of you too, and despite our situation, if I or any of my contacts can help with financing or anything going forwards, please ask me.
I will if I need to. I will stay until someone else can be found to look after Drury Lane, of course.
So you left?
I did. And losing the security of a job and a good employer in the round was unsettling. But I knew I could make things work. She carried on from strength to strength. About 10 years after I left, the ecclesiastical commissioners gave her 48 slum properties in South London to manage, and she turned them into model homes. And then, not only did she save Hampstead Heath and Parliament Fields from being developed, she also saved 3 hills in Kent from development, and then she founded the National Trust as well.
Wow.
Puts me in the shade with what she's achieved.
But you did go on to bring your dream of sobriety and culture to the poor. I mean, founding one of London's now most famous theatres was no mean feat.
Victoria, my dear niece Lillian wants to call it the Old Vic. I rather like that.
Do you want to tell me about the theatre? I would love to hear how that came about.
I do. But there's a large chapter of my life before that. Social reform, politics, suffrage. So much. And so far my life had worked out fairly well with Octavia. Now cut loose, those things were going to be less easy.
I think perhaps we should continue tomorrow, if you'd be so kind, as evening is drawing in and I've taken all your afternoon already.
Of course. The Graphic has always been supportive in its coverage of my projects and of me personally, so I am happy to be able to return the compliment. And I enjoy talking with you, Nancy, I really do. So Tomorrow, then? Please return and we will talk about the next chapter in my life. As I said to Octavia, Nancy, alcohol consumption was a huge problem for the poor, fueling mental and physical illness and fueling poverty. When I met up with John Ruskin again, I had sobriety on my mind.
So sorry to hear you left Octavia.
You make it sound like a relationship.
It was it not?
I suppose.
Anyway, what do you want?
What makes you think I'm on the ear roll, to quote some tenants?
Intuitions. So?
I want to establish somewhere for the poor to go that's warm and entertaining and, crucially, alcohol-free.
A coffee bar.
A coffee bar with a creche. Someone has to look after the children while their mothers relax. Or work.
Radical. Well, having invested a great deal in Octavia's projects, I would need investors again. Perhaps we can meet at my club and you can charm the same men that Octavia did and a few new converts to the cause.
I do have some influential women on my side as well, you know, including dear Octavia. We parted on good terms. That was the prudent thing to do. Her mother, Lady Caroline, has offered her support and spread the word in her circles.
2 bankers of my acquaintance now work at Coops & Co., James and Tarquin. Little or no social conscience and just a desire for money.
More stuffed shirts with lots of money, still jealous at handling money of richer people than themselves.
Stuffed shirts?
No offence, I do not include you in that description.
Well, I'll set up a meeting. As I said to Octavia, unlike many men, I am sufficiently enlightened to really admire what you're trying to do. While it might not change the world, it must help a little bit.
And I would like to bring some people of influence as well. Not least another Thomas. Thomas Hughes, an excellent author and social reformer.
Ha! Tom Brown's school days.
Indeed.
Semi-autobiographical, apparently. Well, he went to rugby, didn't he?
He did, yes.
And how did you get to know him, may I ask?
He's related to Henrietta Barnett, who worked with Octavia and I for a while before I left. I have also courted William Cowper Temple, the Liberal MP, and through him I was introduced to the Duke of Westminster, who was most excited about my ideas.
That's all well and good, Miss Cons, and as we are aware of the situation of the poor, perhaps you could actually tell us what you want.
There is a property in Covent Garden that is currently available. I should not imagine it would be wildly expensive, and its location will be excellent for coffee taverns. There would be tea and coffee and no alcoholic drinks of any kind. There would be a piano and entertainment and a creche for mothers to have their children looked after while they find work. But with any charitable venture, it means big hands need to go in big pockets.
Well, Miss Cons, I also support the venture, as you know, or I wouldn't be here. And I am prepared to be one of your financiers in return for a duly important position on the board.
And I suppose with such important people providing guarantees, the bank would be prepared to finance the venture, as long as we saw some return on our investment.
Lovely. So the Coffee Taverns Company will be formed with a board, and it shall buy the coffee tavern, which I will call the Cat and Comfort, with a creche, a working girls' club, a library, and...
Miss Cons, if we are to be involved in this venture, do you not think we should have a say in the venture?
Oh, no, your enthusiasm and money will be more than sufficient. I fear the deathly silence suggests I may have spoken out of turn. Forgive me, everyone. Of course you will be involved. My enthusiasm got the better of me, and I apologise.
Well, we must meet again to formalise things, but I suggest we at least purchase the empty tavern while we still can.
I have sufficient funds to buy the tavern. We can then decide on who pays what for what when we meet again, right?
Emma is overcome as she stares at the empty tavern.
Are you quite all right, Emma?
Oh, yes, forgive me. Just Just emotional about my next dream on its way to fruition. If it's a success, the company can open more and maybe nearer your tenements so your tenants can reap the benefits.
We will all do our bit to employ the labour required to have it ready to open as soon as we can.
I do appreciate your support and your coming, and that of your dear mother. I hope as well that since my departure, you have found happiness.
I have. Harriet York, her name is. She is no businesswoman, but provides invaluable emotional support.
Well done, Emma. Proud of you. I can't wait to be your first customer.
Work began swiftly, and it was completed swiftly. Then the publicity machine swung into action, and the tavern opened its doors. And what a wonderful night it was.
Emma, this is amazing. What a wonderful opening night.
It certainly is. Beyond my expectations, beyond my wildest dreams. Mark my words, there'll be more of these within the next few years.
Do you let people bring their own meals in to consume here? Because a family just walked in and...
That's fine, that's fine. I'm happy for people to bring their own dinners. Indeed, I encourage it.
Since we were teenagers, I always saw you as my prodigy, you know.
Did you?
Yes. But now I must bow before the master. Or perhaps I should say mistress? Or maybe not.
It's fine, Octavia. I take the compliment, thank you. But without working for you, I wouldn't have been able to think about my next venture.
A social housing scheme?
Yes.
Well, I hope you will keep me posted. And of course, it goes without saying, the very best of luck.
Thank you.
Someone's making a beeline for you, Emma.
Miss Collins, it's an absolute delight to meet you. My name is Ethel Everest.
Charmed.
I've a beautiful country home in Chippen's Bank in Hever in Kent. I would very much love you to come and stay with me for a while. I have previously offered it to Octavia Hill, should she have any tenants in need of country air, and it has been found to be most agreeable.
Ethel, I was thinking the very same thing. I have plans for a social housing scheme with scheduled countryside excursions for my tenants. I would love to come and see the place. Thank you for the invitation. I accept, when it may be a convenient time for me to come.
Thank you, Emma.
Entrancing. Most entrancing.
Seems Ethel made quite an impression on you.
She did. I didn't make it a habit of accepting invitations from random women to stay with them in their country houses, but she just had something. What do the French say? Je ne sais quoi? Anyway, I did stay, and we still have a close relationship today. In fact, you might even get to meet her, depending on when she gets back.
Do you live together then?
No, Nancy dear. Why would anyone sacrifice her beautiful country home for albeit a fairly pleasant London flat?
Anyway, I'm sorry if I'm prying where I shouldn't.
No, I need not have mentioned her, but I chose to. Must be some influence you exert over me.
Well, I assume your coffee taverns went from strength to strength.
They did. The Coffee Taverns Company owns and runs 23, with over 30,000 customers a day and generating a 7% return on the investment for the board and generous profits for the company. Even Florence Nightingale asked to buy shares in the company. I set it up in 1876.
Who said women couldn't succeed in businesses on par with men?
Many, unfortunately, and many still do. But perhaps when they know of what I've achieved, they might reconsider their attitudes somewhat. But having coffee bars with pianists playing jaunty tunes wasn't culture, and it was culture that was missing. And I still had another dream to fulfil.
What?
My own social housing enterprise. I'd learned so much from working with Octavia, but I knew I could do better. I went to see a development. It was on the corner of Kennington Road by Waterloo Station. It was dreadful. dilapidated and broken, infested with rats, simply dreadful. Of course I could see the potential straight away. Then I turned and caught sight of a theatre. Well, a theatre could bring much needed culture and entertainment, not just to my tenants, but far more widely. At that moment, I had absolutely decided I was going to have it. I had no idea who owned it, so I made a few inquiries. William Cowper Temple MP, no less, found out for me. It was the newly formed London County Council, and very interestingly enough, Octavia Hill will vouch for me when it comes to running social housing schemes, and with my Coffee Taverns company having become such a success, I believe I have nothing more to prove regarding my credentials as a solid businesswoman.
Well, Miss Cons, if the council sees fit to dispose of the properties into your hands, you must set up a proper company and take responsibility entirely for all costs and risks associated with demolition, rebuilding and the like. Everything must be done properly, must it not?
Quite. I will call my company the South London Dwellings Company. I am sure those on the board of my current company and other investors who currently receive generous dividends will willingly form the board of this endeavour.
Very well, I'll pause any plans for the site on the understanding that you will make good on your word. You have 3 months. Do we have a deal?
We do. A pleasure doing business with you. While I have you, I see elections are forthcoming for positions on the council. I expect women can stand for election, can they not?
Well, the Local Government Act draft bill is with Parliament at the moment, and I don't think women will be allowed to stand for election. We don't have women in Parliament, do we?
Perhaps you should.
I'm aware of your passion for women's suffrage, but I think you should not get too carried away. As far as I know, no women are planning to stand. When the elections are complete, the council will then appoint 18 aldermen, but again, men. The clue is in the name.
Well, I don't agree with you. But as you have been kind enough to help me establish my next venture, I will leave the matter for the time being.
Delighted to hear it.
I, too, have many things going on in my life, and I am drained, so I know that one cannot go on forever.
I have the drive and a passion that keeps me going, Octavia. I have the constitution of an ox and the energy of 100 monkeys.
Well, I do have a little morsel of information that you might want to hear.
Go on.
2 friends of mine are also planning to stand in the election, irrespective of whether they can or not. One has some legal training and has seen the draft bill and claims there is nothing in it that explicitly prevents women from standing for election. Perhaps you should meet them.
Do I know them?
Perhaps. Jane Cobden and Margaret Sandhurst.
Good heavens! Well, our paths have crossed when I had started running my taverns. They both received dividends from my company.
Well, there then. It's fate.
Right. Well, if they're standing, I am standing. And if John doesn't like it, too bad. We have already signed a deal regarding the properties I have my eye on, and I am already well on the way to forming the company and the board. He gave me 3 months, and I have 2 months left.
Dear Emma, please take a break. There must be somewhere.
Well, there is, because I have also found contentment in the company of a lady by the name of Ethel Everest, who has invited me to stay at her country house in Kent.
Perfect. Well, please spend a little while there. You have plenty of time, and I know how easily one can exhaust oneself with work.
Emma is greeted warmly by Ethel, and after a brief wander around the garden, they head inside to Ethel's kitchen.
I knew when I first met you that we were kindred spirits, Emma. I just knew it. And if I may speak freely, I know I've never before been formed a friendship I consider so special with a woman I've known for so little a time.
You are a loving and gentle soul, Ethel. I cannot thank you enough for your trust in me, inviting me into your home and offering it to me so generously.
I hope we may be able to enjoy a friendship as close as that with society might allow, if you get my drift.
I understand you perfectly, and I know this weekend with you will be exactly what I need to invigorate my tired mind and body and continue to fight the good fight.
I hereby declare that the following persons have been duly elected: Timothy King, Harold Wellington, Geoffrey Thomas, Humphrey Truelove, Gordon Strange, Jane Cobden, Margaret Sandhurst and Emma Cons. I wish them all well and look forward to our first council meeting, where we will elect 18 aldermen, positions for which nominations may be received from the beginning of next week. All the information will be displayed on the notice boards. Thank you.
Many congratulations. I knew you could do it.
I am so happy and so proud. And I have finalised arrangements for my housing project too, so everything is going to plan.
Congratulations, Jane and Margaret too. I am sure women everywhere, on hearing of your new appointment, will be delighted and inspired with new hope.
Indeed. The men may be less so.
Well, maybe, but it will not be the first time that we have shown men their place.
And then, a short while later, my land on Kennington Road was ready for tenants to move into, and my housing project was born. Soon I had all the tenancies occupied, and I made sure the tenements were lovely places to live, with amenities and open spaces, and several times a year I took them all on a day trip into the countryside. I took Octavia along too for our first adventure. Over here, everyone. This way. That's it.
Have you ever herded sheep, Emma?
No, but I imagine it would not be too dissimilar to this. So, today you will have a lovely day out in our beautiful countryside. Get some country air into your lungs and escape the grime of the city, and it's all paid for. So I just want you all to have a wonderful day, and for being such wonderful tenants. You deserve it.
That's our train?
It is. I think we can all board now, if you'd all like to follow us.
I know you suggested this idea back when we worked together, but I didn't think it was feasible across so many schemes. But for yours, I can clearly see it works. Oh, look how happy and excited they are.
They say fresh country air is good for the constitution. Must be if you think about it.
Country smells too, Emma dear. Country smells.
And I should be congratulating you as well on your wonderful work of establishing a green belt. What a super name for it.
Thank you. And like you, I don't intend to stop there. I'm forming an organisation that will buy beautiful land and property all over the country and manage it and make it available for all to visit. I think I will call it the National Trust.
Perfect. And I bought a theatre.
Right. Well, right. And...
Do you remember what I said about bringing culture to the poor?
Yes.
Enough said, I think.
Well, let's toast to each other's successes and dreams, shall we?
Cheers.
Come here, Emma. Dear Emma. I want to hug you.
And I take it things continue to go well?
Oh, yes, Nancy, it was the most amazing day. Octavia and I were as invigorated and refreshed by the air as they were. It was late in the night when we all got back. I'll admit, it was fun one-upping Octavia. I know she took it in the right spirit. Setting up a national trust is no mean feat. Mind you, neither is establishing a theatre.
Tell me about that. Then perhaps I can finish with some questions on your political career.
Well, the two are rather intertwined from now on. I went to the theatre site. As I stood there and looked at it, Nancy, I just knew this was going to be a fantastic venture. And surely, on the back of my success, nearby social housing project doing so well, funding would not be an issue. I went to see Arthur Sullivan's production of Pirates of Penzance. It was spectacular, and it was the least I could do, as I was about to squeeze him for money.
Well, I must say, Emma, as well as you're drinking a pint of ale, you are a remarkable woman. Few women could coax me into a pub with a business proposition.
Your production, which I had the great pleasure of seeing, was truly marvellous. I believe you are one of, if not the greatest light music composers of our age.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
I often find that to be so. I also hear you are something of a philanthropist.
Indeed.
I'm sure a man of the theatre, such as yourself, can see the benefits of using such a beautiful old building as a theatre or music hall even. Would it not be particularly wonderful if one of your shows was on our opening night?
Well, one thing at a time. I know you are a highly successful businesswoman, and I know you have many admirers and supporters in very high places, and presumably plenty of opportunities for funding.
I do, of course, but to have someone from the industry, shall we say, on board, other than being something of a coup, would also bring a certain credibility to the project it might otherwise be lacking.
Well, my latest production of Pirates of Penzance has been well received pretty much unanimously, and it will run for some time, so I'm certainly in a position to offer to be one of your backers. I stress one of them.
My dear Arthur, just your coming to meet me is an honour enough, but to have you on board in any capacity would be more of an honour and a privilege to me than you could possibly imagine.
It's 1880 and Emma and many worthies and investors have gathered in an exclusive private members' club.
Thank you all for attending the first meeting of the Coffee Music Halls Company. May I say how honoured I am to have among our number Lady Lucy Cavendish, the great Arthur Sullivan, and Samuel Morley, whose textile business is flourishing and who, like you all, have been so generous and allowed this company to form. I can tell you officially that the theatre has been purchased and a great future lies ahead for it, for the poor of London and for all of you. I will be speaking with some of you individually, as I know you have particularly expressed some ideas to me for its use, which I find rather appealing. Meanwhile, please help yourself to refreshments and enjoy this wonderful networking opportunity. My dear Lady Cavendish.
Oh, Lucy, please. And may I call you Emma?
Of course.
You will know, I am sure, about the privileged background from which I come.
I understand Lord Lytton was your father, and you have been Queen Victoria's maid.
And the rest. But I want to assure you that I am as committed to the cause of making the lives of the poor and uneducated better with the same passion as you have for your projects.
Indeed, I know how committed you are to improving the education of the poor, and I share your vision.
Which was why I wanted to ask if I could set up a college within the theatre. It would be called Morley Memorial College for Working Men and Women and would have a female principal, and many high-profile women would speak there. I foresee it gaining many students with time and complementing your enterprises perfectly.
I will be very keen to support the venture. It sounds incredible.
I have many suitable women keen to become principal and have favoured Louisa Gould in the first instance, and even though it is still such a gleam in my eye, it has also received expressions of interest from great men and women who are keen to teach and lecture there, including, dare I say, Gustav Holst.
The composer?
The composer, and Emmeline Pankhurst, who is working so hard to establish a movement in support of women's suffrage.
Good heavens! Well, keep up the good work and keep me posted.
I will. I'll leave you in peace. I think someone else wants your attention.
Emma, how lovely to see you again.
It is, Henrietta. Thank you so much for your investment. Your faith in me and in my venture touches me. It gained its licence for music and dancing courtesy of dear Arthur in 1880 and opened in 1881. And Lucy opened her college there in 1888. Oh, Nancy, the plans I had were all coming to fruition. I could hardly contain my excitement on our opening night. A warm, warm welcome to you all and to our grand opening night. I hope you all enjoy the show, the refreshments and the hospitality. And now our maestro will open with a specially composed overture.
But surely you must have needed more funding than your board could provide for such grand plans.
Oh, yes, I had many collaborators. The University of London, for starters, and the Royal Academy of Music and Borough Hall Polytechnic, and a year later we became the Royal Victoria Hall Foundation and made what we call the Old Vic, quote, a place for the benefit and enjoyment of the people forever. The Charity Commission blessed it, and that was that. It went from strength to strength. There were temperance meetings and penny lectures every day of the week, and singing and dancing and entertainments every week, and much drinking of coffee and eating of cake.
Remarkable.
The theatre side was hard work, though, and I did have one or two concerns to allay, made to me in the nicest possible way. I dealt with one of them in the foyer soon after opening night.
I don't want to dampen your spirits, Emma, but as one of your principal investors, the fact that you have got through 3 theatre managers in as many months does concern me slightly.
I primarily run day-to-day matters, Samuel.
Yes, and very well, but only because you keep firing your managers. Have you lost your sound judgment when making appointments?
Not at all. I simply have high standards, and one cannot always discern at interview how someone who talks well may perform in the field. Anyway, the current one seems to be satisfactory so far, although how he will fare when I relinquish so much of what I do, we will see. If you're worried about...
No, I can see my investment is secure. The place is an enormous success. I mean, from 5 a.m. to midnight, every day of the week, the place is open. It is truly remarkable. I am merely echoing the concerns of 1 or 2 investors.
My niece Lillian has expressed a great interest in being involved in its management too. Should I feel things have become too much for me, I know she will be an admirable successor. My next battle was a political one. Yes, I was now on the London County Council, but I wasn't an alderman, and if for no other reason than to prove a woman could do the job, I raised hell when myself and the other women could not stand or be appointed.
Miss Emma Collins wishes to have the floor on a matter she claims is most urgent.
Thank you, sir. The matter I raise is urgent. As I understand, we are to vote this very evening. In essence, I wish to say that if women can serve on the council, which we do, and very well by all accounts, we should be able to stand as aldermen. We do not need to be called alderwomen, but we are as capable of doing the job as any man. Accordingly, I have put my name forward and expect a vote to be taken on my appointment. I want no favours. I want to get the position on my merit and not because of my sex.
The law regarding aldermen states that the role of alderman shall be filled by a man. That is the way it is.
Why?
Because it is.
Why does it have to be that way?
Because it does.
Oh, for the love of God. My point is that just because things are doesn't mean they have to be, or that change will not be an improvement. I have read the law, and as a respectable businesswoman beyond any contestation at this point, as well as an educated woman, in my opinion, the law states no such thing. It may imply such, but I would argue it is open to interpretation.
Very well, your name will be included, but I doubt it very much that you'll be appointed. Clerk, how many aldermen can we appoint?
18, sir.
Must we appoint 18?
The laws that apply to the council state we must.
And how many nominations have we received?
18.
Ah.
Well, possibly my rant was unnecessary, but I still had a valid point.
And the date for receiving nominations has passed now, sir, and to break the rules in order to prevent a woman becoming an alderman would, in my opinion, be more serious than appointing one.
Well, there'll be a few restrictions, I imagine, on how many committees and in what capacity you may serve, but it seems luck is on your side tonight. No vote is required, unless anyone has any objections, which I presume there might be.
You presume correctly.
No objections, then?
I dare you.
Very well. Although I have reservations, I hereby declare all 18 names submitted are duly chosen as aldermen. One caveat, however, you, Miss Collins, are not allowed to have a vote. That is the law, because it is, and that's that.
I wonder if we'll finish this interview today. Not that I don't want to come back tomorrow, but I'm aware I've taken...
Don't apologise. Ethel's not coming down until the weekend, so I appreciate the company.
I remember there were a lot of stories in the papers when it got out that you'd been made an alderman.
Yes, they called me the manager of a mission in South London. So did yours. I never liked that. I told one journalist, I am not on a mission. Everything I do is entirely practical towards making the lives of the poor sanitary, comfortable, happy and healthy. Or words to that effect.
Shame you weren't allowed to vote.
Ridiculous, is it not? When women in government cannot vote, it's bad enough that women can't vote in any walk of life. However, I'm sure that will change soon with Mrs. Pankhurst leading the charge. I did end up speaking at the Institute of Directors, though, in 1908, I think. Anyway, I was the first woman ever to do so, and I was asked to address them. Gentlemen, this is truly an honour. I know how much power, influence and sound business acumen is in this hall. and I hope you will allow me to share a different perspective on business, where the business model is intended, yes, to provide a return on investment to directors and investors, but also to provide sanitary and comfortable housing to the masses of London, make them more provident and temperate, and their recreation more intelligent and healthy, to make their lives more worth living. And the benefit spreads far beyond those individuals and family. We will all benefit from a clean, healthy London and educated and sober workers. I can no longer manage the day-to-day affairs of the Old Vic anymore. I'm tired and old and doing far too much.
Surely you're not
No,
selling...
no. My niece Lillian will take over. And I'm sure take it to even greater heights. I mean, we've had music hall and variety shows and all manner of talks, but as yet no plays. Not even Shakespeare. Lillian may barely have left her teens, but she is shrewd and passionate, and I will be keeping an eye on her from afar, you understand?
Well, I'm sure it'll be for the best, and it might give us some more time together. You know you're always welcome as in living here.
For now, I need to be in London, but should things change, I would be here in a heartbeat. However, I will be coming to Swanley soon, and I would certainly love to stay with you.
Just say when, and the bedroom will be ready for you.
Well, I think that is pretty well everything, Nancy. You will have enough to fill a newspaper, I should think. Do your fingers not ache from scribbling away?
The joys of shorthand. Anyway, I will remember most of it. It has really been an honour to spend the last 2 days with you, and I will make sure the article lavishes praise on you and all your achievements. And is there another chapter?
Handing the theatre over to Lillian, then throwing myself into politics. Ah, and a trip to Swanley Horticultural College in Kent. They want me to be a governess, no less, and maybe moving in with Ethel. She has such a beautiful home. I know you have hankered after this opportunity, Lillian, and I know you will run it magnificently.
I promise, Aunt Emma, I will make you proud of me.
But I will still be keeping an eye on the finances and things. Like a ghost, I still have a presence.
Of course. Every theatre needs a ghost.
Indeed.
I plan to stage a full-length Shakespeare play to build on your Shakespeare evenings. I aim to get a full theatrical licence too, and I intend to have a direct phone line to the local fire station as a priority.
The fire station is over the road. If somebody shouted, "Fire!" they'd hear.
Not everyone shouts as loudly as you, Auntie. It will be a small expense, and we must be seen to be considering health and safety.
How much?
Well, £4, 10 shillings a year.
We'll be bankrupt in no time.
It's June 1912, and Ethel calls on Emma to take her to live with her. When she gets no reply, she lets herself in.
Emma? Emma?
Thank you to Lillian, Octavia, Caroline and Nancy for your beautiful eulogies. Would anyone else like to say anything?
I would, if you please, mister.
Please.
Emma found me and my missus fighting in the street. She broke it up and told us off. But she saw the conditions we were living in, and she promised to give us a better life. She kept that promise. She turned me from a drunkard to a useful citizen and changed my family's fortune forever. And there are millions just like me who she helped to be better people and live better lives. Thank you, Emma.
It was her wish that she be cremated and her ashes be scattered in this little wood. And today we are honouring that. There will be a plaque in her memory, and in the foyer will be framed a telegram from His Majesty George V and Her Majesty Mary. The plaque will be an engraving, engraved for all time in the wall of the Old Vic. It will tell everyone of her selfless dedication to social work, improving housing, providing recreation, promoting learning, protecting children, of her commitment to social good. Large-hearted, clear-sighted, courageous, tenacious, and of great personal modesty. Rest in peace, my dearest friend.
Emma was born on the 4th of March 1838 and died on the 24th of July 1912. Her legacy, however, will never die or be forgotten. The London Illustrated published Nancy's interview with Emma. Everyone then, who did not already know, discovered how amazing she was, and everyone in the future will surely realise the immense mark she left on the people she worked with, was friends with, and helped to a better station in their lives. The magnificent Emma Cons. You have been listening to Sue Ford as Emma, Julie Ledgister as Nancy, Jenny Hazell as Octavia Hill, Olwen Holme as Ethel Everest, Rob Chantler as John McDougall, Doug Neal as Sir Arthur Sullivan, Izzy McNeill as Henrietta, Robert Hardy as Samuel Morley, Geoff Meddelton as John Ruskin, Philippa Stuart as Lucy Cavendish, Helen Neal as Lillian Bayliss, Sue Ford and Maurice Ledgister as Amelia and Jack, Nick Steed as the Duke of Westminster, and Tim McLaughlin as the Clerk. Music, script and directions by Rob Chantler. The producer was Victoria Lawrence, and this has been a Free Theatre Company production.